Hi, I love to recreate organic shapes using digital tools, and today we are going to discuss how to grow these digital plants using and updating very simple setup in Touchdesigner. Let's start from scratch as usual. And first of all, let's split our network into sections. First of all, let's build very simple point cloud grid system. As usual, we set for 32 mono, and let's start with 400 by 400 points. And to get a grid, let's set here a constant. Here we need 0. .32 RGBA, and here is null. Let's instance boxes and use to transform one. We just scale to this, and this one will be a multiplicator for this one. So here I will set, for example, 0.3. And here is geometry, and as instance matrix we will use this one. Let's rename it SPT, and here we'll set R, G, and B. Render, let's set as 1080 by 1080. Now transform for black background, camera, and light. And I want to switch on soft shadows. Also, let's set rotation angle for each instance. For that, we'll use random noise. And here we will set R, G, and B. And let's set here a limit for normalization. I actually want to increase the density of our grid, so let's normalize it between minus 0.1 to 0.1. Okay, we have a simple grid. Also, let's set material here. And to get a first plant, which is seaweed or grass, like I don't know, it just resembles this one. So let's and to get seaweed, let's extrude individual blades of grass out of this grid. And for this we will use just noise. Let's set it here. Let's set offset to 0 and set period to something like this. Also, let's set harmonics to 1 and exponent to 4, for example. Also, let's increase harmonic spread and here set to something like that. Also, let's use a limit here to clamp negative values to 0. And this is the core of the first variant. Let's set up the lighting here a little. Something like that. Also, let's add saw, a node that could heavily enhance your render quality. Here is full. And let's animate it a little using the second layer of noise on the whole system. And let's clamp this grid underneath Seaweed, and for that we need to use Mate here. Let's select reorder, and here we will set 32 mono. The first input as blue, because we need a height of our Seaweed, and normalize it between 0 and 1, and let's use it as third input format, and here we will set red. Okay, something, oh, 1 second, sorry. Yeah, and now we have animation only on the end of our Seaweed. Let's increase the resolution a little. And here, let's try to play with light. Yeah, also we could increase shadow resolution a little too. And this is the first and very simple setup. We could play with it. For example, we could set level here. And play with stepping, getting very interesting shapes here. Now let's save it as component. And now let's add the second layer of complexity to this system. For this, let's copy it and start to play here. What I want to do is to circularize. What I want to do is to circularize this grid to get a cylinder that could remind a stem with leaves or some thorns. To get this, let's remove this one, add null here, and let's use the component that we did at the very first tutorial, circle. I don't want to remove this limit. Okay, I remind this component take any point cloud between 0 and 1 in x direction and circularize this. So it will look like that. Let's transform it. And I want to set a vertical resolution here. Also, let's scale it a little in that direction. And change some noise parameters to get a better picture. Let's scale down period. Also, let's set harmonics to 0 and scale a little exponent too. Also, let's add level at top as a master regulator for noise. Now we could change this parameter. Regulating the intensity of the noise. And also let's transform it also in X and Y direction. Let's scale down in a half. And I think we need change noise parameter here. Yeah, something like that. I think this one is pretty nice. We could change its shape to get a different results. For example, we could use point transform here and scale it to 0 in one of directions. Let's select blue values, 32 mono, and normalize between 0 and 1. And use it as second input here. Here we need to set red, and let's scale it to 0 here. And now we get something like a Christmas tree. And we could add function operator here to control the exact shape of this curve. For example, let's set power here, and now we could change the shape. For sure, you could play with this noise too at the same time. And to get more choral view, we could play with this texture here. Let's, for example, multiply this noise with additional ramp. I want this vertical, set resolution only. And set here a mirror and easy in, easy out and something like this. And we can animate this one. And also let's add another noise here to get a more organic texture here. And also we could apply all standard operators here, like blur, or we could use this level they implemented at the previous step, and also we could set it after we circularize the whole system. Let's set here. Oh, sorry. Let's set it after this one. To get something like this. And I think this is also a great system to play with to get very nice and interesting organic shapes like club moss, something like this, or coral shape. And let's add another layer of complexity to this system again. To do that, let's copy our page here, go into, and let's go back to initial resolution. Now I want to make a flower out of this tube, and to do this we need just to circularize it again. Let's remove these parts and these two. And now we don't need this ramp anymore, this second noise too, and this limit too. This circle, like right now we get, let's switch the noise off. We get this circle out of this system, and this component to centralize it, we need to switch off this part of this component. Now let's scale it down a little. Like something like this. Maybe even more. And now let's rotate it. And now we have normalized tube in X direction again. And now let's copy this circle here. And what I want to do is to scale it down overall. Now we have this nice torus. Let's go back here. To make a flower out of this, we need to turn on noise and change some parameters, I think, to something like this, and we need a really high value in amplitude right now. We don't need offset, but like 60 or even 80. Yeah, also let's increase the scale of each instance. Maybe even bigger. Yeah, like this. Let's switch this off. And to animate this, let's add point transform here. And we need just rotate along x-axis. Yeah. You could rotate it in either direction, inward or outward. And you could play here with shadows. To get better result, you could add another layer of noise here. To get more organic movements here. And also we could get add noise here. Very subtle to make texture a little more complex. Also, you could play with noise here. You could create something that don't look like a flower. I think this is it. I hope you like this tutorial and see you next time.